We're live once
Woo!
again. Woo!
All right, salty snacks acquired,
Mm-hmm.
drink refilled.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play some sports ball
Sports ball.
or sports ball adjacent things.
So what we are doing here is the our March to Madness bracket. Um, for some reason I can't really scroll very well on my screen, but here's the whole bracket. Um,
So if you haven't seen this yet, this is a contest we're running. You can check our website, mythosbusters.com. It's just a couple posts down at this point. You want to look for March to Madness. I've also pasted the link directly in the chat here. You're gonna open that and then go to the make your predictions. So just like March Madness, we're gonna have investigators square off against each other, and you make your predictions. Then we're gonna vote, and then whoever wins at the end is gonna get some fabulous prizes. So
mm-hmm.
Scott and I are gonna go through our own respective brackets here with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
If you're with us live, feel free to click through your own at this point. And if you're watching this on YouTube, get it in quickly because the window's closing pretty soon. And hopefully, if this goes well this year, this is something we can kind of throw together every year and kind of hype a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I realized that I need to re-log in, and I did, but my password was covered by 10 circles. So
That's good.
one
Moving
thing we
along.
thought of is I'm going to kind of pick more towards solo investigators. Because that's, I'd say, like a good 60% of what I play. And you are going to pick more multiplayer, though you play a lot of two-handed, like two-person, maybe to three-person ish.
Yeah, I mean, I think we each just are gonna use our own particular lenses that we have on the game. Like you play both solo and multiplayer, but I feel like you play maybe a little bit more solo. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think solo, yeah, like 60-40 solo to multiplayer in any number. Yeah.
Whereas I'm like 5% true solo tops,
Mm-hmm.
probably 80% two-handed, and then the rest is actual multiplayer. So
Yeah.
but the thing is that these in the real world, when these actually start to go through and matches actually start to happen, it's just who people vote for. And if
Yeah.
democracy has taught us anything in the past little while, it's that people vote for lots of different reasons. Not all of them are based purely on skill or worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
So, take that for what you will.
Yeah. Um, that's the tough part. Like, do I vote for solo or overall or popular
I'm
or
I'm just going gut feel personally.
hmm. Okay.
But obviously, my lens on the Arkham world is mostly multiplayer.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just gonna click on here, which is predict the winners, and we're just gonna start doing this. Basically, what it does is like once we like so for an example here, Jim Culver versus Carolyn Fern. Once we'll click on this red button, it'll give us an option of two investigators, and you just pick the one you like. Then it'll give you another pair, and it's going through all these pairs, but in a systematic way. So you don't have to like it's really simple. I'll show you guys.
Yeah, it's gonna walk you through your own hypothetical bracket.
Right.
Which, look,
Sage.
neither Scott nor I watched the sports ball, so we're
Yeah.
talking about this like this is some alien concept. I'm sure 80% of the people who are gonna hop into this know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So Jim versus Carolyn.
One sec. I'm gonna type in host too. There we go.
Sure.
All right. Jim and Carolyn. I'm thinking Jim.
If I were voting for myself, it would definitely be Jim.
Yeah, I think Jim. He's closer to better solo for me because he makes 3 tokens in the bag, usually 0.
And I think Carolyn particularly shines in multiplayer, and I think there are enough stands for Carolyn out there that she might take this. So I'm going Carolyn.
Well, I'm going Jim.
Wow. Out of the gate, we're just straight up divergent.
Well, here we go. So Jim versus Ursula. Ursula gets it. I mean,
Oh, Carolyn
Ursula.
versus Ursula. I'm going Ursula too.
Yeah,
So
yeah. There we
easy
go.
enough.
Oh,
Patrice
Patrice
versus
versus
Calvin.
Calvin.
Uh, Look, I like Calvin's design, and he's got some cool things going on, but I don't see him actually winning against many investigators, so I'm going Patrice. Also,
Yeah,
Patrice is just good on her own
and
merits.
especially when I think of like popular vote, I think Patrice wins. Like Calvin has. When we talk about. I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but we talked about it in other things. There's a skill floor and a skill ceiling, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the skill
Mm-hmm.
floor is where you need to be as a player to make this investigator run, and the skill ceiling is like you're making all the right decisions, etc. Um, Calvin's skill floor is very high, and I think his skill ceiling is very high. Patrice's floor is low, and skill is super high. And so I think it's just, yeah, I think
I'd say her
Patrice.
floor is moderate, personally, but
But would you say more or less than Calvin? Because I think
oh,
her,
far less, far less.
yeah, yeah, she's way more like
Mm-hmm.
show up and yeah, okay.
So I've got Zoe versus Roland.
Hmm.
Ooh, this one's tough. This one's really tough. So here's the deal. Both great.
Hmm.
Roland has access to some really good combinations of cards and is very good for solo.
Yep.
But it always surprises me how many people out there are just like Zoe fucking super fans. And she's kind of more dedicated multiplayer. I think my vote's swinging Zoe.
I think Zoe simply because in Dream Eaters she's amazing, and she has that Dunwich flex,
Mm-hmm.
which allows her amazing builds. Roland is kind of like he's very much the he's keeping on what's keeping on. You know what I mean? Like kill some guys, get some clues, keeps on going. But his
He's very
deck,
meat and potatoes.
yeah, his deck building is it's I don't want to say it's the same as Zoe, but it's Zoe just has Zoe forces you into combat a little bit more, which is
Mm-hmm.
okay, but she forces you into uh encounter deck manipulation or control. Encounter deck
Sure.
control. And I am
Sure.
A-okay with that. Yeah. And low sanity for Roland, like 9 to 5, plus his weakness hits his sanity. Like it just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Zoe.
Mm-hmm.
Finn
Finn and
versus
Min, right?
Finn and Man. Knee jerk is
Ooh, here's
Finn.
the deal. Like, if it were me voting for what I think if it were just me saying yes,
Mm-hmm.
Finn would get my vote here. I
Knee
feel like.
jerk, knee jerk is Finn for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because, like, Min gives the extra icon, Finn gets an extra action. So, but Finn can also be like absolutely destroyed by the encounter deck in like 3 turns.
Mm-hmm.
If he
Right.
gets the wrong
Yeah.
draw.
You pull the wrong combination of willpower tests, you're just
Yeah.
Dunsky.
But every other
Min's
investigator.
got a fair few people who just kind of like love Min.
Hmm.
And she's great support in multiplayer. Her ability just scales with the number of players you have in the game, so that's really good.
Hmm.
And I think, and this is based on no evidence or substantiation at all, but I
Hmm.
think Finn's one willpower scares away a lot of people. And they don't really see past what he can do to compensate for it.
He does.
Because honestly, even as a person who plays this game a lot, when he first came out, it scared me until I tried him and was like, oh, all right, well, I see what he does to compensate for it.
Right.
So I'm going Min.
Like his compensation is he just finishes the scenario before it's done. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm so torn because first of all, my competitive spirit, I want to win this. Like this whole competition, which we're
Yeah.
not sending prizes to ourselves. Don't worry about that. But
No. No.
um, Finn is better solo, but I know that Min is loved better as the community. I think.
Sure. And that might matter, but it might not. Who knows?
But I think I'm gonna go Finn.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Uh, but here's the thing:
So who do you, Ursula and Patrice?
knee jerk Ursula, but Patrice is so. This is a tough match. I wish there were matchups
See,
where we could say like pass and come back to it.
see, here's the thing. I think Ursula's great.
Mm-hmm.
I've played her a fair amount. I've seen you pilot her to great success for
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different games that we've played. Um, I don't think a lot of people have seen her played to her full potential.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she might be a little bit of a sleeper, particularly if you're playing past two players, because she doesn't have the highest intellect to start out. She doesn't have the inbuilt clue acceleration.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, gut reaction for the community here is a lot more people love Patrice for kind of just the wildness that she is.
Yeah.
So while it's not necessarily a value judgment that to say that Patrice is better, I think Patrice will win this particular bout.
I think, and while I appreciate everything you've said, I think Patrice might win this bout. I just need to go with Ursula. Be,
That's
be,
fair. That's
be,
entirely fair. Look,
because
whenever Diana comes up, it doesn't matter who's up against her. Like
right,
I just
like the thing is, I've played was have I played more Ursula than anyone else? I'm not sure, but she's in the top
you've
three.
played more Ursula than anyone I know.
Like I think I am an Ursula expert at this point. Um,
You are the
and
biggest stand for Ursula that I know.
however, like that is slowly being approached by my Patrice
Andy.
expertise. It's
Oh,
like I've played a lot of Patrice, a
okay.
lot, and like I absolutely love her. But I think Ursula takes the cake on this one,
Sure.
ever so slightly. Like it's like 51-49. So
That seems fine.
Big Kahuna, ride or die with Ursula. Yep. Okay, holy, these are a lot of tough decisions. Zoe and Finn. I think I'm gonna have to go with Finn.
You mean Min? Oh, you went Finn. Okay, so I've got Zoe versus Min because I went Min earlier.
Right. Oh, you're doing another one. You have okay, so you have Zoe versus
Min.
Min.
Mm-hmm. So you go first. You're fine.
I think I pick. I mean, I'm coming from a very I don't want to say solo oriented thing, but mostly solo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Zoe is really fun solo. Like she has a lot of cool cards, seeing the crime, evidence, all this stuff. Um, but it's very tricksy or like it's fun to play. It may not be as successful to play. Finn is very good, period,
Sure.
because of his
Sure.
stats. So I'm gonna go Finn.
And in mine, Zoe versus Min. Look, both great. Min's got some cool builds, but here's the thing: every time I've ever seen a popularity contest, Zoe seems to just do really well. There just seems to be a lot of people who play Arkham who
Hmm.
love Zoe. And she's an early investigator, which means people who are just getting into the game are more likely going to have her. I think Zoe's going to go really far in this tournament. So I
Hmm.
think for the most part, I'm going to be backing Zoe.
All right. My next pit, my next pick is this is ridiculous. Ursula versus Finn.
So Sonic the Hedgehog versus Speed Racer.
um, both investigators have amazing abilities. They have amazing stats and amazing deck building for what they do. Like it's just both of them. If you were to say, "Hey Scott, who are your top two solo investigators?" I'd say Ursula and
And I
Finn.
have.
Yeah,
We've had that conversation.
I'd say Ursula and Finn. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Ursula wins by a hair because her extra action triggers just that much more than Finn's. And like the
Yep.
stats line up and whatever, but
Sure. Makes sense to me.
so Ursula.
All right. I've got Patrice against Zoe. And again, this is a situation where if it were me voting, Patrice would get my vote because I fucking love Patrice. She's got
Right.
purple cards. She's great.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe though, I think is much beloved. She's more familiar. She can play solo because she's got that splash. She's very welcome in multiplayer as a dedicated killer. Um, while I would personally vote for Patrice, I think Zoe's gonna win. So I'm gonna predict Zoe. All right,
Interesting.
group two.
All right. I have Lola versus Father Mateo. So
Yep.
here's the thing. I have a Lola deck that I think is going to do well.
Oh, really? Now,
I do.
too bad the rest of the community doesn't know about it.
Well, I think there's some. I'd say a majority of the complaints towards Lola is that um, she has a lot of cool combos, but a bunch of investigators now can do those combos without having the restrictions she has.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, she could maybe do 3 of these cool combos, whereas the other investigators could do 1. However,
Sure.
she still has the limitations built upon her uh, as her as she is, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
she can only pick cards of her role. And as much as I'm excited to play her again, with Mateo and the cards we've got in this cycle revolving around the Elder Sign, um, I have to go Father Mateo.
Sure.
Right,
Okay.
like with
Yeah.
oh God, what's that Survivor card? It's 2 cost
Oh, the
and
blast card, You Catastrophe.
you catastrophe, yes.
Yep.
Which in goodness, what is it? Yorick is broken, something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
I Father Mateo's standalone is just amazing. So I have to go with you catastrophe for me, and which is Father Mateo. Sorry. Oh, Father Mateo.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Look, I really like Lola as a concept. I
Yeah.
think she was maybe just overbalanced a little bit for the fear that she would pull together some game breaking combo.
Hmm.
I ultimately don't think that really exists yet. Like, there are things that you could potentially do. There's the ace in the hole shit, but that was covered by errata. Whatever. I
Yeah.
think she was overbalanced. She's cool. I don't blame anyone for liking her. Concept is fun. I believe it that there are decks out there for Lola that work.
Hmm.
I do think she is still at the bottom of the pile for all investigators in all categories. So I also have to give it to Mateo.
Yeah. I think like the deck I built is really taking advantage of all the cards that say like take these 2 stats, mash them together, do a test, right?
Sure.
Like she has so much opportunity, and maybe we'll see that future on, but now for no.
Yeah.
My next test is Father Mateo and Luke Robinson. I'm just gonna hover over vote for Luke Robinson.
Yeah, I
Do you?
will not stop.
Okay.
Luke is bonkers and might be one of the best investigators in the game for all purposes and has a
Mm-hmm.
variety of builds depending on what you're trying to do with him. Gatebox is ridiculous, so yeah, he'll go pretty far in this, I
Yeah.
think, for anyone who's tried to. The one thing, though, is that Luke is pretty new. So what I've found is that not all of the community has everything up to date, so that might hurt him a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. But either way, I'm voting for him. So
That's true, but I also think that people who are listening to this or partaking in our quiz
mm-hmm.
might also not be like they're probably not the people who are just getting into the game.
They're far more
Or
likely to have purchased more. I agree.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go with that. Silas versus Rita. I knee jerk is Silas to me.
Agree. Sorry, Ian. Um, the problem I see here is that Rita was released in a regular box. Silas was a special, not everyone can get a hold of him type character.
Ooh.
So I fully agree that I think Silas is the, generally better investigator.
Hmm.
That fact that he's only been released in the novella so far will probably hurt him somewhat, though I don't know how much
Hmm.
in this tournament. I'm still voting for him though.
I have to hope that people have tried him. Like he's out. He's in TTS. He's in Octagon, and I mean, people could proxy him if they can't find his book.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Rita has that 5 in evade, which is really good. But again, I'm also coming from a solo perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and Rita is pretty good, but Silas just works.
Silas has a lot more flexibility of build depending on what skills you put in him.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll go with Silas.
Mm-hmm.
Safina versus Marie.
This one's tough for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'm like knee jerk is Safina, partially because Grief Safina,
Sure.
Griffina. But I feel like I haven't.
Marie, like Marie being able to hit the ground with 4 intellect and then lean into mystic stuff with 4 willpower
Mhm.
is really good. Like literally the only thing holding Marie back from being one of the best investigators in the game is how bad the Baron can be. But it's only how bad the Baron can be.
But
If it hits
also,
late in it,
well, I was gonna say how bad the Baron can be, but also how good her Sig event can be.
yes,
Like, it is essentially a better um 3 XP Survivor event, right?
fortune or fate.
Fortune or Fate, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like it essentially does that, but better, and you have
Mm-hmm.
that from the default.
Mm-hmm. But gun to my head, I think more people will have had good experiences with Safina, and because she's been out longer, she wasn't promo to begin with, and I think maybe I wouldn't say that either of these investigators are like low on the skill floor, but I think Safina is easier not to mess up.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Safina.
Yeah, I'm looking at chat and everyone's like, Windmill, Safina, and like Marie is good.
Yeah.
And I think like that I don't know if we talked about this, and I think this is an AV club topic, but the idea of Doom play within Mystic, right, and how to properly like Doom
Yes.
play and play with Doom
Mm-hmm.
and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. That brings about Marie. I think Safina is just good, and not even like I remember whatever episode it was where someone said like, "Oh, deck size 33, Scott, how do you feel about that?" And I was like, "Guys, like she starts with 8 cards in her hand. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like this is
And 5
amazing."
more cards underneath her. She's
Right.
like deck size 25.
Right, like she might. Well, she ends up being deck size, like the normal amount of deck size, plus you draw 3 cards. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So to me, it's Safina. Marie is pretty decent solo. Safina is also pretty decent solo, but
Mm-hmm.
Safina is also just amazing. So
Yeah.
Mark Harrigan versus Akachi. Knee jerk is Mark.
Yeah. Same. Look, I
Aka-
love me some Akachi. She's great, but Mark is a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus.
yes.
And he is honestly, and it took me a while to get here to realize this, but he's honestly probably one of the better solo guardians. Roland's great.
You're
Leo's
crazy,
pretty
but okay.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
okay, Sophie's ability to just add 2 to whatever test you want, if you throw in enough healing, like you can just get shit done with Mark and
Yeah.
draw tons of cards in the process.
Yep.
And turns out, guys, that drawing cards in a card game is just always good. So
That's
Mark,
fair.
pretty much hands down for me.
I have been cooking up my the campaign I'm about to play is Carcosa with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to play Akachi. And so I've been cooking up all these Akachi decks, and they feel great, and they look really fun. At the end of the day, they are straightforward Mystic decks with slight advantages, which is fine,
Sure, sure.
but Mark is just. I don't know, it feels
He's a
like
force of nature.
yeah, he just. The thing is, like, with Sophie, he can just do anything, right? Like, that's the thing. Oh, yeah, I gotta go Mark.
Beautiful.
Luke versus Silas.
Oh, this is tough. This is tough. This is playing again because Silas is like one of my pet investigators,
Hmm.
so I'm a little clouded in my ability to not just see him as generally awesome.
Right. I'm going Luke because,
Yeah.
like, Silas is fun. He really is. Um, but Luke's ability to just, win scenarios, I I don't know what else to say. Like,
Yeah.
he wins
Yeah.
scenarios.
He
Silas,
does.
you have to,
He
like, juggle cards and stuff like that. Like, Luke has the shit to get things done. So,
I agree.
yeah.
Safina versus Mark.
Oh boy.
Look, we've said a lot about Safina,
We have.
and we've said a decent amount about Mark. Um, I gotta go Mark with this one.
Me
Like,
too.
Safina's good, but Mark is gonna go really far in this
Yeah.
competition because he is just so ridiculously good at what he does.
Thing is, like, if you look at solo, Safina and Mark have to kind of, like, wombo combo out how they do clues. But when you look at enemy management, like, Mark just manages them much better,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, it
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah, I gotta
And
go
draws
Mark.
cards in the process.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Luke and Mark.
Oh,
Okay, so I can't I can't in good conscience because I know like from a mechanical, like victory point to win, like a win condition type mindset. Luke is
mhm.
probably actually better,
Yeah.
but
However, yeah.
particular, yeah, and yet, from particularly from a multiplayer perspective and from just kind of like a general love perspective, the fact that he's been out longer, I think I gotta go Mark between these two. Even though
Hmm.
I think possibly, like if we're talking mechanically, Luke is probably the better investigator.
So here's the thing. I have to go to the washroom. So I'm gonna let you talk to chat about it because people are chatting about it. I want you to talk about it. I'll be back in a minute because I need 20 seconds to wash my hands.
You need to pick your investigator, and then I'll talk about the next group.
Hey, that's fair. Ah, I feel like Luke because
Okay.
he's a little bit more rounded, like because he can lean into willpower to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he
Mm-hmm.
has the gate box, right? Like
Yep.
Mark needs to take damage to do the thing. And,
Sure.
I think Luke, and I realize I'm coming at this from a solo perspective, but also I just know Luke is gonna be better. I think
Yep.
because he just breaks things, right?
I I don't think there's a wrong answer here. I don't judge anyone for picking one over the
Yeah.
other.
Wendy versus Tommy.
Wendy versus Tom. Okay, so this one, you go ahead, Scott. You're good. He's already gone. Okay, so this one is tough for me. Tommy's fine. He's fun. He's that paladin type. I think particularly in multiplayer when you're using some of those assets that like tank damage for other people, He can be really, really good. Um, Wendy, though, Wendy's the Red Queen, and you cannot look past that. Problem I have here is there are so many people that come out of that course, that experience, going, Survivor shit. How do you play Wendy? Because she just requires so much more nuance. And, we keep talking about floor or skill floors and skill ceilings. I think her skill floor is pretty high to play her, particularly solo, effectively. Um, ugh. I don't think, though, that Tommy's going to get the vote over Wendy, because I think enough people have recognized the brilliance that is Wendy that like
Sorry,
it's no question for me. I'm just talking about the actual community reception here.
I just came back.
It's no question for me. It's
It's
Wendy.
Wendy, right?
Yeah.
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 Wendy, solo or multiplayer, it's Wendy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rex.
So the real question here is: has Rex Murphy expended his goodwill in the community for being so good, or do people still like him? Not do people recognize that he's good. Do people still like him? I feel like no one is sharing a Rex build nowadays.
So here's the thing. I think because like the optimal Rex build has been found like years ago. You know what I mean?
Sure,
And so we just like
sure.
we add in a fingerprint kit here, and that's about it. But I was gonna say something else there. Both of these players have additional actions based on variables, but Rex has an additional action based on something you'll do most of the time, whereas Leo, it's like kind of some of the time. However, people hate Rex because of what he does.
And that's the conundrum.
So do I vote Leo because I know the community is like, ugh, Rex Murphy, right? Which I also understand, having played Rex Murphy, like, I'm going to discover 8 clues in a turn. Yeah, that's... I get it.
I think that 60 to 75-ish% of the voting here will be done on the basis of which investigator is mechanically better. Now, better is a loose fucking concept, and it's going to depend on your skew on solo versus multiplayer,
Mm-hmm.
and then the remaining 25% is just who do I like better. But either way, I think I gotta go Rex here, because I
Yeah,
don't think he's expended his goodwill enough that he's not going to be in consideration.
I agree. Rex. Jenny versus Yorick. Oddly enough, I had a conversation with a group on another Discord how William Yorick is one of the only investigators, if not the only one, where you call him by his last name, not his first.
That's true.
Yeah.
Everyone's so bored of William, and like Yorick seems more apropos to his backstory as a failed actor.
Yeah.
Though it's funny, no one else does this. I did this because we just did it at when we played Eldritch Horror. I
Mm-hmm.
used to call Norman Withers. We just always called him Withers.
Yeah.
But I think that wasn't common. So anyway,
Okay.
so
So Jenny has like the super rich build.
mm-hmm.
Yorick has oh, what's that card? Where that librarian's like,
Catastrophe.
no, well, that one, and Act of Desperation.
Oh sure.
Yeah. Um, and a shit ton of other really good cards.
Yeah, Yorick's gotten even more toys, and he was good when he came out.
And this is what I'm dealing with is, do I go Jenny as far as like when Yorick came out versus Jenny, or where Yorick is now versus Jenny? Because the thing is, Jenny's been around longer, and she has way more things, or way more builds, especially like the extra money build or the super rich Jenny build. but
Mm-hmm.
I think Yorick is like he's swole, if you will.
Yep. I think in general he's better. So you're going York?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
Fully acknowledge York is the better investigator. I think Jenny's got more fans. So I'm gonna go Jenny.
Yeah. Okay. Agnes versus Joe Diamond.
Agnes. I stand for Agnes.
I Joe has
Joe is
some
great, but
he has some really cool tricks.
mhm.
Um,
He's not as good as I expected
well,
him to be with 4 and 4.
4 and 4, and also the hunch deck. But
Mm-hmm.
Agnes, like, well, okay. Here's the thing. At the time Agnes was released, and the
Right.
time Joe was released, I would put Joe above Agnes.
Sure. Because
However,
the card pool was 1/8 of the size.
yeah. But now Agnes has a shit ton of options.
Uh huh.
But if Joe Diamond, it has to be Agnes.
Yep.
Honestly, she has a 5 in one of her stats, which is the
Mm-hmm.
most, which is a stat that she also uses all the time. So there's
All the
that.
time.
Yeah. Wendy versus Rex.
Okay, so here's where it's really weird for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you were just me voting, me
Mm-hmm.
for myself,
Yep.
Wendy, hands down. She's more fun.
Mm-hmm.
She's more engaging.
Mm-hmm.
From the community standpoint, though, I'm debating again what we were talking about earlier, where Rex has worn down his welcome more
Mm-hmm.
than Wendy has slid under the radar as to how you play her for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Though at the end of the day, I'm still going Wendy.
I'm going with what my heart feels, and I honestly like I can't choose anyone but Wendy. Like she's just so good, both
That's fair.
1 player and 2 player, which is the large majority of my play. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Even though Rex can grab those 2 clues, Wendy has a dump stat, which is actually a good thing, right? Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's got enough ways to play around it.
Agnes versus York.
Mm. I'll let you agonize first.
Um, See, the thing is, I had such a great experience with Yorick in the Carcosa Iron Man, but I realized that Yorick is only good at. Hmm. And Agnes now has a bit. I think Agnes, because she has more clue getting opportunities, right? You can put in Rise Seeking and Sixth Sense, plus Drawn to the Flame. So that's like 20% of your deck is
And
clue
now read
finding.
the signs.
Oh god, yeah. There's 8 out of 30 cards. Yeah. And I think,
Yeah, she has options for clues.
yeah. My biggest thing, like, I'm kind of leaning towards solo here. And my biggest thing is in solo, you need to get clues. That is goal number 1, right? Like, you need to be able to get clues to advance
Mm-hmm.
acts,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can be Mark and kill everything. But at the end of the day, if you can't get clues, you can't get anything. So I think I have to go with the Agnes.
Okay, that's fair. Mine ended up being Jenny versus Agnes. Um,
Ooh.
so I think again, Jenny's got a lot of super fans. Um, I think at this point in the game, though, her ability is a little on the boring side. You know, she's got that Dunwich splash, which makes her fun. She's got a couple of different builds. But again, I think I kind of have to go with your reasoning and my heart
Mhm.
and go with Agnes. She's just got way more options and a 5 in her most important stat as a mystic, so just solid.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh God, Wendy versus Agnes. I know I have
I
to make this.
I also have this matchup. Wendy versus Agnes. I think I have to go Wendy
Okay,
because of solo.
sure.
Whereas
And
like Agnes
uh,
is dependent on draw, Wendy can be less dependent on draw.
sure. I have to go Agnes just because of what a powerhouse she can be. I recognize that her power level can be a little swingy just by virtue of her relying on her high willpower, and that requires you that you draw the right cards, and sometimes it doesn't happen. Um, but I think between the cards that have come out and her ability to just ping damage here and there, uh,
Hmm.
I gotta go Agnes.
Agnes is a 5-2-2-3, correct?
5-2-2-3. Yep.
Yeah. The thing I think about Agnes is she's super defensive unless she draws an offensive card.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
That's fair.
and Wendy is like that, but you still have 3 intellect. So I think I have to go Wendy.
Sure.
And it
That's fine.
hurts me because I love Agnes.
I love Wendy, so it
Okay.
no love lost.
Mandy versus Skids. Okay, so Mandy.
Mandy.
I love how we spent 4 seconds on that. Diana versus Preston. I think Diana.
Uh,
So here's the thing.
yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing. Like,
Yeah. So we did
okay,
a whole episode on Preston.
we
I've
did.
warmed to Preston, but he ain't no Diana.
And to me, it's. How do I put this? Diana is stable, whereas Preston
Ish.
is unstable. But Preston can get to. Preston does things that no other investigator can, but Diana
Sure.
Stanley just plays the game,
Yeah.
right?
I guess that's one way to put it.
Like Preston just like he can do amazing things, but Diana just does the things, if that makes sense. So,
Imagine a world without the encounter deck.
mhm.
Diana is the closest we'll ever get to playing in that world.
Now Republic here is saying, do other people really like Diana that much?
Oof. Oh,
That's the thing,
Republic.
right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes, I can confirm Diana is bae. Diana is waifu. Um, if you haven't really played Diana and gotten a hold of how and when to cancel and how to just say nah to the encounter deck, then you haven't really experienced how good she can be.
yeah, but
She
that's a
can
big
become immortal with like 20 XP and the right cards.
right. But Preston at 20 XP, what does that mean? I don't know. I think the community as a whole will like Diana better.
Mm-hmm. And also, I mean, I'll just preface
Yeah,
Diana's my favorite, so
yeah.
regardless of who she's up against, I will be standing Diana. So that's the thing
Ashcan
that's gonna
versus
happen.
Tony.
Ooh,
I think I'm
I
gonna go
think.
Ashcan.
Look, regardless of what I think Ashcan and Duke are gonna just win this in a landslide because
Yeah.
Tony's a little bit more specialized. You can definitely build him for solo and to do a little bit of flexing. But I feel like Ashcan's been out longer. He's simpler to run. Everyone
Mm.
loves Duke. There's a special heart in the spot in the community's heart for Duke.
Mm-hmm.
He's just gonna win.
To me, Tony is like the mark of Rogue, right? Like it's like,
Sure, that's fair.
hey, you want to be a guardian and want to kill shit? Okay, here's Mark. Oh, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you want to be rogue and you want to kill shit? Here's Tony, right? But if you want to have some fun plays and different development tracks and all this stuff, you go Ashcan. The fact that we have like 2 or 3 different archetypes for Ashcan,
Yeah.
to me, it leads me to Ashcan. Um, yeah, no, I
And if
think
every card in Ashcan's deck was blank and was just a card to discard to Duke, he could still win some scenarios.
exactly right. Like when you're a 4-4-4-3 investigator,
Yep.
you can maybe do some things, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Uh, Ashcan beat. Go.
So Daisy versus Withers, or
Daisy.
Norman for some people.
Daisy. Daisy?
Look, I love
Daisy.
Norman. I think in standalone,
Daisy
Norman's generally better,
and Daisy.
but Norman's really wonky to play in
Daisy.
campaign. You kind of have to back into. All right, yes, I'm
Daisy.
eventually getting around to
Okay.
Daisy.
Sorry,
Yes,
keep
Daisy.
going. Yeah.
No, I'd made my point. It's fine.
And here's the thing, like, listening to that other podcast that we
Mm-hmm.
have Blood Feud with,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the guys does he does his standalone stuff. So like, talk to the flame or whatever, drawn to the flame.
Talk to the flame because the ash ain't listening.
Yeah. Uh, he quanders on his feet. Um, Norman Withers is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And to steal a word from Drawn to the Flame, interesting, right? But Daisy
Do they really
Walker,
have the trademark on that word?
well, we decide later. But Daisy Walker is just like I'm clenching my fist. She's just better,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I
I think
really love
even
Norman. Like I am looking forward to the next solo campaign I play with Norman because he has some super awesome upgrade paths and how he deals with things. Like it's just a weird game total. But Daisy is just better.
I also, next time we do this, I reserve the right to change my answer based on what Norman's real signatures are because his replacement signatures are kind of garbage.
Yes,
Um,
that's fair.
so, but yeah, Daisy for
Yeah,
sure.
Daisy.
I just wanted to
Mandy
give Norman a nod because he deserved at least that.
Mandy versus Diana.
Mandy's great. I even recognize that possibly mechanically she might be the superior investigator. I'm still voting Diane.
I'm going Mandy.
That's unsurprising.
Have you played 3XP? And I say 3 because you could also use 6 for whatever. Basically double studious plus 3XP. Mandy Thompson.
Rogue Mandy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
for sure.
was it
Pendant.
the Pendant of the Queen?
Mhm.
When you play it, you draw a card and gain 2 resources. Easy mark.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another one. Can't remember which.
3
Anyways,
aces.
3 aces. Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Mandy's great. I can't say a bad thing about Mandy, except
yeah.
that she can't fight honestly, but that's
But
fine.
why would she
That
need to do that?
right.
I know you hate this, and you go Diana Stanley. I'm going Mandy. Like,
It doesn't surprise me. It's fine.
are you going
I forgive
Diana?
you. Oh, of course I am.
What's wrong with you? Okay. I get Ashcan and Daisy. I
Yep. Same.
think. So here's the thing. It's like, how do I want to look at this comparison? Is
Mm-hmm.
it because our whole thing was I'm gonna go solo mostly, and you're gonna go multiplayer, at least 2 player.
Mm-hmm.
And where's the skill ceiling? Because I feel like Daisy Walker, the skill ceiling for her solo is way higher than Ashcan.
Sure, solo for sure.
You know, and I hate to say this phrase, but Ashcan Pete/Duke is like Fisher Price, my first solo investigator. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I really don't. Like,
Yeah, but he's pretty straightforward, I think.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, if someone is going to play solo, or sorry, play this game solo for the first time ever, and they have the entire card pool, and say, "Hey, what investigator should I use?" I would honestly say probably Ashcan. because there's so many options built into Survivor. Plus, you have Duke. Like there's just,
Yeah.
it's just
And the thing you need to win is like starts in play.
right. Like it does everything right. So when I say like Ashcan is Fisher Price my first investigator, I don't mean that as a slight. It's it's literally just a great investigator
I
that
still
does
drive
everything.
my first Fisher Price car around. I don't know what everyone's so down about Fisher Price about.
But like I still play Ashcan because Ashcan is really good.
Yep.
He has a
Yep.
really a bunch of options. Um, Daisy Walker, I think, in the first scenario is rough,
Mm-hmm.
but her
Solo.
ability gets bigger. Ah, God, though.
So I agree with everything you've said. Um, this could go either way for me, like as far as predicting what the community will do, because people love Duke, and there are a lot of people out there who just appreciate Daisy. She's been around the longest. Um, I think from my perspective, Daisy's flexibility, and she just also plays really good support in multiplayer with Old Book of Lore while getting fuck tons of clues. I gotta go Daisy, but I don't think there's a wrong answer.
I'm looking at chat. Training wheels? Question mark. Just take Ashcan.
You are way overthinking this.
I know.
Like you realize that this is for no prizes because if we win, that nothing happens.
It's Daisy.
Yeah.
The first scenario is tough, but after that, okay. Well, here, Mandy Thompson versus Daisy. It's Mandy, right?
Yeah. I've got Diana versus Daisy because Diana.
So
I
you think?
think between Daisy and Mandy, though, I think in general Mandy's
Yeah.
better.
Like Mandy is just like she has the dump stat, which is nice
Mm-hmm.
actually. Like in a lot of investigators, having a one in a stat allows you just ignore that stat
Mm-hmm.
completely, right? Um, and Mandy is just obtuse right now.
Yep.
So I have Ursula versus Luke.
All right.
This is Final Four.
Yep. Final four, baby.
So this is where it gets harsh. Luke has a lot of options.
Yes.
Ursula
Turns out Ursula has speed.
Ursula has proven her
Quality.
yeah, versatility, quality, whatever you want to call it. But yeah,
Thing is I still think that the newness of an investigator is going to count against them in this competition. How
mm.
much it's going to count against them, I do not know.
And
But it
also,
will.
oddly enough, I've seen hate for Ursula because they're
Yeah,
like,
no, I've
oh,
seen that as well.
she's like 0 to 5 seeker and 0 to 3 for relics, and people are like, there's not that many relics. I'm like, okay, I get that. However, like, yeah, I don't know.
All right, gun to your head, Scott.
Okay, gun to my head, solo, or gun to my head, anything but solo.
Gun to your head, which do you think will win if these two are up in the community for popularity vote? Because that's what this is.
God, I honestly don't know. I think I have to flip a coin. Like it's at the point like Ursula is just unbelievably good, and Luke, but she's also hated because she's so good. Like people are like I don't play Ursula because reasons.
I really okay. Oh, well, I mean, that's people do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, the gun is to your head, Scott. I've cocked
Ursula,
back the hammer.
Ursula.
Oh, all right, there it is. There it is. See, be true to yourself, man. Like
Okay.
Ursula's your pet investigator. Just go for it.
Yeah.
Mandy's great, but so my first final four is Zoe versus Mark, which is I feel like a very
Sorry, Zoe
similar
versus who?
Zoe versus Mark.
Oh, Mark. Right?
So between the two, like I
I
said,
think
I think there are still a fair amount of people out there who just love Zoe for some reason. Um, but between these two, Mark is just gonna win this one. So it's Mark. All right, who's your next one?
Wendy versus Mandy.
Okay,
Um, it's hard to decide
sure. I think it's the
regarding
final
like
four. It
yeah,
should be.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, regarding experience because I think feel like Mandy can be off the starting blocks with like 3 experience, and Wendy needs at least 3 experience. So, however, Wendy's good from the start. I think it's gonna be Mandy.
I think Wendy's great. Her
Mm,
skill floor is pretty high though, and Mandy's just always good.
that's
Like
the
even if
thing.
you don't really know what you're doing, Mandy's just gonna do work.
Yeah, Wendy's skill floor is just it's it's fucked. Is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
So
Oh.
I have Agnes versus Diana, which for me is fucking as close to Sophie's choice as it gets.
hmm
Um, so Agnes is, as mentioned, pretty great. Anyone who makes it to the final four is going to be pretty great. So I'll just
Yes.
stop saying that.
Yeah.
Um, I think in general, Diana plays more. Diana's Bay for me, so I'm ultimately going to vote her. But the main reason is because I think she's great solo because she's got a
hmm
really good pace and she's got decent stats to start. And then in multiplayer, she can play really good interference on the encounter deck and still kill a lot of enemies in the process. So I gotta go Diana.
Yeah, and Diana. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Championship
So she
round. I have Ursula versus Mandy.
Sophie's choice for you.
If I'm gonna go solo, it's Ursula.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like Mandy has super awesome tricks, and she takes time to get them up and stuff like that. Ursula is just like, oh hey guys, I'm just gonna go through this scenario. Oh, is the agenda deck half done? Oh, sorry, I'm done. Yeah,
Sorry,
right.
I'll wait.
Yeah, I'll wait.
All right. Fair enough. My championship is Mark versus Diana. Um, so I'm actually going to deviate from what I've been doing so far. I recognize that I love Diana and recognize Diana's superiority probably more than most people do.
hmm
So for the sake of, if this were just me voting, it would be Diana 100%. But
Who's
for
it,
the sake
Diana and
of
who?
Diana and Mark, but
Hmm.
for the sake of recognizing who people might say, hey, this is a really powerful investigator, like Mark is at the top of the heap in a lot of those conversations. So that's
Yeah.
where I'm ultimately going to go here.
Yeah.
Diana's great. She deserves to win it. But if I'm looking at who might actually win this, I think Mark might actually win it. So
Yeah. That's
that's
fair.
where we're going.
Mark versus Diana is a hard choice.
Yeah, it sure is. And, surprise, surprise, my final four were all really, they're investigators that I love and are really good. So,
Yeah.
so there it is. All right. Well, thank you everyone for slogging through that with us. If
Hmm.
you haven't done it already, quickly go out to our website, mythosbusters.com, and find the March to Madness post to go get your predictions out there. I believe those are going to be closing pretty quickly.
In like
We're going to get this video
26
up.
hours ish.
Oh, wow. All right. So we're going to get this video up as quickly as possible. Um, if you haven't already, go do that. And you know what? Even if you haven't done your prediction, go check that post out because you can still help us vote on the actual winners once the
Mm-hmm.
contest gets started. So even if you don't win anything, you can still have an influence on the ultimate result. So yeah, so I think we'll wrap this up there. So thanks everyone for joining us through that. And if this is something you enjoyed, wanted to get in on next year, let us know. Because this would be definitely something that we could kind of do on an annual basis. Seemed to be pretty fun and was pretty well received. We've gotten well over 100 entries up to this point, so that's more than we expected.
Mm.
All right, so on behalf of Mythos Busters, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time /year/episode/YouTube video.
Bye.